Welcome to Your Intended Message. My guest today is Lisa Berry. Here's 3 facts that I think you should know about Lisa. 1, she is an avid camper and would happily spend all day, every day in a field without shoes on. 2, she couldn't completely live off the grid because she needs the internet for her business, teaching small business owners how to write content without being manipulative. And 3, her new project with her husband also needs the internet because she's in the process of setting up a hub for small businesses for free information and support to run more ethical business and drive real positive change. Maybe one day she will retire to a small holding and just look after the chickens. But until then, she has work to do showing small business owners that there is another way. Another way. Lisa, welcome to Your Intended Message.
Thank you so much, George, for having me here.
Delighted to be talking with you in the UK. And small business, you're on a mission to help small business deliver, to promote themselves, to market themselves, but do it in a ethical way. And I'm also guessing in a way that's not annoying.
Yes, not spammy or manipulative. Those are that's the terminology I use. I find that a lot of small business owners actually they are very skilled in what they do in the service delivery or the creation of their product, and they actually don't want to be marketers, and they have had experience as human beings at being marketed to, and everyone likes to buy, but nobody likes to be sold to, right? So that really uncomfortable feeling of being manipulated and being spammed, we are wise to it as human beings now. We know the tactics, we know the strategies that are used, we can see it, and yet we still fall into the trap because it's very cleverly done. It's based on the psychology of sales, and so even though we can be aware of it, it can still make us we can still fall for it. We all do on a daily basis. But what I really believe is that so many of my clients, so many people talk to me about how they hate the idea of being like that, and so what it does is it actually prevents them from doing anything. So the fear of showing up and being manipulated or being spammy and annoying is so overwhelming that they don't do anything, and then their intended message doesn't get out, and they don't have the growth and the sales that they need to actually, if they're in business, they've got to be generating an income, otherwise they're not in business. Otherwise it's just an expensive hobby. So it's really important that for those business owners that feel that resistance to showing up and copying what other people have done and what they see other people do, that they find another way, because otherwise their business just becomes an expensive hobby.
And the reality is a business needs income to survive and thrive and grow. And in order to get income, one must sell. And in order to sell, people just don't rush out to say, hey, give me that, I want what you got. No, you're going to have to go out there and show them what you've got. And the dreaded question, do you want to buy this? You have to actually ask them to buy.
Asking for the sale is one of the most cringeworthy things that people say, that business owners say to me. Just literally their insides twist. They feel like they're selling their soul to the devil to, be out there and be confident enough to say, here's my stuff, buy it. But what I teach them, and what I'm really passionate about, and what I talk about all the time, is that we can, if we show up, it's our intentions that count. So if we show up with a really grounded view, really grounded understanding of who we want to help, and come from a place of servitude, so we're serving. So in our whatever product or service you have, it's got to solve a problem. Otherwise, it's not a business either, because people aren't going to buy it unless it solves the problem. So if you focus on the people you want to help and the people you really want to make a difference to, in whatever way, I work with a whole range of different businesses, but what a difference that makes. Instead of focusing on yourself and what other people think of you, or what that whole judgment thing of what you think of yourself, instead, if you focus on the people that you want to help and the difference that you can make to them by just building that relationship, talking to them, helping them, and then allowing them to know about the sale, to know what's available. You don't have to push it in front of their face and wiggle it around until they just buy it just to get you out of their way, but just building that relationship so they feel like they want to support you, that they know that you've got something that really will genuinely help them. So it's about that relationship building as opposed to that pushy sales strategy. And sadly, a lot of small businesses don't know that there is that other option. They either feel it's either they go with the pushy, manipulative, spammy side, and that's what other people teach out there, or they think that they just don't, they're just so afraid of that they don't do anything. And so that's where I come in, saying, no, you can just be you, build relationships, come from a place of serving, and actually make sales, which is, like you said, you can say buy my stuff, but in a way that doesn't annoy anybody.
So, Lisa, if people want to learn how to become more pushy and make and leverage your spam, don't call Lisa Berry, because she will kick you out the door.
I will. There's no leveraging spam here, I can assure you. No, not at all. But what's really interesting about the word spam and manipulative is our interpretation of it. So spam as a word is actually it's mass sending. That the word comes from mass sending of emails to thousands of people, and you just hope that somebody in those thousands and millions of people that are getting these emails fits that target market. So there's no discernment of who you're actually marketing to. That's what spam is. And sometimes people feel they're spammy if they're just talking about their business. And so identifying, first of all, that isn't spam, that it is okay to say, hey, I'm in business, I'm a business owner, and I have something that can help you. That isn't being spammy. And so the first place really to start is like understanding what sort of person, how do you want to show up in the world? What is your intended message? How do you want to be seen and heard? Because of course, a lot of what I do, well, nearly 99.9% of what I do is based on digital marketing. It's all online, and there's a permanency with the online world. So how you show up in the online spaces, that stays. That's not going anywhere. So understanding, like, okay, well, if this is what spam is and that's not what I want to be, what do I want to be then? Who am I when I show up online? And those questions are often missed out. Those are missed out because people go straight to, right, how can we write this sales post? How can we, let's DM these people and get them on a call, and then we'll sell them this opportunity, or what, all sorts of terrible tactics that I see a lot online, sadly. But yeah, there is another way, and it starts with grounding yourself in having that clarity. One of my coaches always says, clarity is happiness. So if you understand, well, that's spam and I'm not going to do that, and this is what I am going to do instead, then you can actually do it rather than questioning everything and second guessing yourself. I've got clients that will post stuff and then remove it because they suddenly get really afraid. And so it's like, it's not just the writing of content, it's having the confidence to put it out there and get it seen.
And I want to reinforce something you said just a little bit earlier about focusing not so much on you and how you look and how you sound, which are valuable at some point, but to start by focusing on your clients, their problems, and how your solution can help them solve their problem. And when you now when you think about that, now you're not thinking about yourself, therefore you're not thinking about, you're not self-conscious, you're simply trying to go out there and help. And I think about lately we've had some well, even in Europe there's a lot of forest fires going on, and I imagine if you're out there and you're camping in the woods and there's a forest fire around you and somebody shows up with a fire hose, you're just going to say right over there, there's the fire, put it out for me, please, do what you can. And there's no, the person who shows up with the fire hose, they aren't spammy, they're there to fix a problem.
Yes, that's it. They're solving the problem. That's it. That's such a great example, George. I've not heard that example before, and I absolutely love it. I may quote you on that in the future. That is a
Please.
brilliant example, because we have fires burning, metaphorical fires burning all the time in our own lives, which is why we need products and services to solve those problems. And when one of an amazing thing that I love doing with clients is getting them to write themselves or their business in the center, and do like I don't know if this is the same terminology, but like a spider diagram, a brainstorm. If you put something in
A
the
mind
center.
map, a mind map kind of.
That's another good word for it. So a mind map where they put their business in the center and then think of the effects, the impact that they have immediately of their business and their like not just their product and service, but the effect that has perhaps on their own family. Building a successful business. How does that change their family, their children, their partners, their relationships? And then from each one of those, so if I was to say that, my business helps a small business owner to make more money, what impact does that have then on their family? And what impact does that have on their children? And you have in the end result, and especially some of the people I work with are so incredibly inspirational in the work that they do. I have one client who helps victims of domestic violence through the court system, and you think of the ripple effect of that in itself. And then I have other clients that sell sustainably sourced dog food. Well, that there seem like massive differences there, but actually the ripple effect of both businesses on their immediate people they know and their immediate environment, but also as you step out of that and what on the wider environment of the people ongoing, and in some cases it's generational change that people can create for others. And if you really step into that as a business owner, really step into the power that we have as small business owners to make change and to help other people on such a scale that we'll never know. We'll never see those people in generations ahead that may have benefited, or the environment that may have benefited from sustainably sourced dog food. We don't necessarily see that, but what we have to have that sense of stepping into that sense of power and stepping into that sense of what we can achieve. Just, the concept of knowing what your message is and knowing what you stand for and putting it out there and allowing those people to come to you who resonate with that and who want that, who have got that fire burning and need that hose. And then what happens after that? What happens as a result for you and the people that you work with and the people that you help? It can get quite mind-blowing at times. When I've done that activity myself, you get this almost overwhelming feeling of purpose. And that really helps when it comes to being courageous enough to be visible and put your service out there and put your intended message out into the world.
Now, I find that inspiring and intriguing, because when a business owner is reluctant to talk about their business, talk about themselves, or brag, perhaps if they were to focus a little bit more on that ripple effect of the bigger purpose, they might feel more inspired, more willing to because now they're on a mission, and now they have a purpose that is more than just money.
That's exact, and this is, money is so, I was going to say valuable, obviously by its very nature it's valuable. Money is and I am not in any way negating the importance of money within a business, because like I said, otherwise you just have an expensive hobby. And we have all, people who have started their own business have done so because they want to play by their own rules. They want to generate their own income rather than relying on building someone else's dream. So there's lots of different reasons why people come to the decision of being a business owner, but there is that sense of controlling your own destiny and controlling what you're in charge of. But there is only so far. Like for me myself, money was definitely a big motivator when I didn't have any, because I needed it. I needed to put the electric on. I needed to put food on the table. So at that point, money really was. I couldn't really think of any other motivator at that point, because when you are in a place of lack and you are really lacking money, you don't have any other options but to focus on money. But there does get to a point where anybody who has earned more than your surviving and then thriving income. I know Tony Robbins talks about the survive and thrive income, and once you get past that thrive income, you have everything that you need and more. You are safe. You think that I don't know if you're aware of Maslow's hierarchy, where you have those needs that you have initially at the bottom. So you need food, you need shelter, you need warmth, you need love, all those things. Once you've got, though not that money can buy you love, but it can help. But it depends who you are and who you're with. But if you've got those things, there's only so far, and up Maslow's hierarchy, you get to actualization, you get to that sense of living your purpose. And as business owners, what a gift we have in life to be able to choose and direct how to direct our energy towards our purpose. So once you've got that basic money income, that's what gave me the courage years ago. But once you've got that, you need something more to really step into your full potential.
And that more being looking at the ripple effect.
The mission, that sense of, I think we all as human beings, that the way the human brain works as well, we get genuine hormone hits from doing good things for other people. So as a human race, there's all the Darwinism, that survival of the fittest. I read a book recently called Humankind by a Dutch author who talked about how actually it's survival of the kindest. And actually, as a human race, we wouldn't have thrived and existed to get to a point where we have culture and society if we hadn't been able to look after each other. So the sense of looking after each other actually has a survival element to it, which is why doing good things for other people makes us feel good. And yet we live in a world where now in society, because it's so individualistic, because it's turned up on its head, and we focus instead in our culture that the UK and the US, very similar here, on that sense of, well, it's all about what's in it for me, what can I get from it, and that actually is work. I believe it works against human nature. I think that works against the culture that's been created, that we live in. The society works against the human nature, which is actually to serve and support our neighbours and our communities. And what mission-led content does is, from a business owner's point of view, taps us into that. It taps us into the idea that actually being a good person is natural for us. It is that is the baseline. That is who we are. We are good people, and we don't need to follow the lead of other organizations or companies or society that has set up a structure that encourages us to be very selfish and focused on things that actually are altruistic. There's so much more to us. And I have hope that we will, as the human race and as business owners, I believe we can drive that if we can shift. That small businesses in the UK, that is over half the turnover of the entire GDP comes from small business owners. Like, together, united, we are powerful. We can make a big difference. 3/5 of employment is from small business owners. So how we treat our employees, we have the power to make a difference, because there's so many of us. We may be small and fragmented in comparison with the big companies, but together we hold power, and we have a power to shift that understanding about running ethical businesses and ethical marketing, and getting our intended message out there without manipulation, without spam, and owning that we're good people and we're good business owners, and we can be both. We can make money and be good people. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Lisa, give us an example of ethical marketing. ethical marketing that perhaps you've helped your clients with?
Okay, so something that's really interesting that I talk about. So it's important with marketing that we attract our ideal client. So that person with the fire. There's no point going to the hose when somebody's not got a fire. We need to find that person with our fire that fits our hose. So we need to consider what our values are that connect with our ideal client. So where's that shared connection between us and them? So one of the activities that I like to do as well is ask people about what they stand for, what their business stands for, and what their business stands against. Now, the internet and the world is very divided. So if we just went out there and started arguments in our content by saying, this is what I stand for and other people are wrong, that's not going to help anything in the world right now. However, through the power of story, through explaining like why, for example, I stand against unethical market. I stand against manipulation. I stand against spamming and sending messages to people and really aggressive marketing. And I stand for building relationships with clients and putting out content that really speaks to them. And so I can tell stories about how because as a copywriter, when I first went on copywriting courses, the first ever course I went on told me that copywriting is manipulative, and that's a good thing, and we need to embrace manipulation. And I could understand what he was getting at, because he was saying we encourage people to do something, so we are manipulating them to do something. But what I find really discouraging about that is the complete openness that there's no ethic, there's no consideration of, does that person really need that thing? Can that person really afford that thing? Another example that I use with this is if, say, for example, sales pages where people hide the price. So you have to search and look for things to find out where the price is. And actually the idea behind that, the psychology behind it, is you make someone want it so bad that when they see the price, they'll do anything. They'll sell their children because they want it so badly. Now, I hate that. And I think that's and it's so blatant and it's so obvious and it's so wrong. So what I teach my clients is put the price right at the top. And if somebody is in a position where they can't afford it, then they'll come back when they can, because they'll understand they'll understand the price of it, they'll understand what's involved, they'll understand how they can access it, and when they can access it, they can come back. But if somebody buys something, even if they put their hand in their pocket and buy it and are left with awful buyer's regret. I don't want my clients or my clients' clients to be left with that feeling of buyer's regret. It's an awful feeling I've done that, where I think we all have, probably, where we've bought things and gone, oh my gosh, I've got to tell my husband I've just bought that now. We've all had those moments. And so for me, just being really upfront and transparent and honest is just so simple, but makes such a difference to the relationship and the respect that you're giving to your potential clients. You're giving them the respect to tell them, this is the price, this is how you access it, this is when you can access it, and just being honest. That is a bottom line for me. Honesty, integrity, and transparency. Just don't BS people.
Now, I wonder, honesty, transparency, and ethical, I wonder if a simple test is to ask oneself, if I was buying this, would I feel comfortable going through my own buying process, my selling process? If I had to buy from me, would I feel good when I'm done?
That's a really good question, George. Really good. And I think that a lot of people don't consider that, because they are, I know of teachers who teach these processes. When I started, I was enrolled in learning them. And I worked with agencies and I worked with marketing gurus, if you like charging an absolute fortune. And I was their copywriter. So I would work with their clients and work with them as a copywriter with their clients. And they would work with a client for a period of time, and then they would stop that work, and the client would I would have built a relationship with them to be able to write for them. And the client would just suddenly realize that they had all these systems set up for them, that felt really wrong and felt really like they had that internal resistance because it was against their human nature. But these experts had told them to do it. These experts had said, this is what you do, this is how it works, this is how business is done. And so they are left there, and some of them would contact me and said, I can't physically keep this going, I don't feel comfortable. And because they just feel they're stuck, they don't know that there's another way. And in some cases, I think that the way I teach, you might not get as high a sales as some of the more manipulative tactics. That's the reality of it. However, and I really want to do some research on this, but I don't know how to quite start going about it without really ruffling some feathers. I do believe from the sense of what I'm told, and that sense of, you know, as the bird flies, that people actually ask for refunds a lot more from these sort of companies who are manipulating them than if somebody has showed up with honesty and transparency and integrity. So if we consider that although we might be blinded by the lights and the flashing money signs initially, because we're told this is the way to do it, this is how you're going to make your million in 5 minutes, and yet when people are asking for refunds because they feel cheated, because they feel lied to, because you've put a price at such a point and directed it to somebody that can't afford that price, then they're not going to be able to afford to keep paying, or they're going to ask for a refund. And so I'm really interested, and I would love to dig deeper into the statistics around that. But it's a bit difficult to find that information from those companies. But I very much suspect that the refunds are higher when people are sold to in a manipulative way, which means from a financial point of view from the business, it's more hassle. You have to have staff to manage that. It's like there's a lot of false economy within the system that we work in. It's like if you think things clearly and you think things logically, if you have a simple, ethical, transparent system to sell to people, then it won't actually require as much management. It won't require as much like behind the scenes stuff when it comes to managing complaints and refund requests. The whole process is easier. But people just look at the first thing, don't they? They just look, it's all about turnover, initial turnover, not considering all the additional expenses that can come with a manipulative, difficult campaign.
Lisa, you have a program called Mission-Led Content. Tell us what that's about.
So Mission-Led Content is a program that I take people through where, it's the basics, it's tried and tested copywriting. So I teach people how to write copy. It's like, I used to be in a previous life a teacher, and I thought that was, I regretted that at one point and thought, I've wasted my time. I went to university, I got in debt, and actually it served me so well because I've got the teaching skills from that. I just use it to teach different people. So instead of teaching children, I'm teaching adults. But some of these adults that I'm working with have come out of school and had very negative experiences with teachers around their writing. So being told they're not. I actually attract a lot of people who are dyslexic or dyspraxic or who have a lot of ADHD adult women end up in my space, and their experience of school is very negative, and their experience of that and their confidence in their own writing is very negative. So they don't believe they can do it. So I teach how to write, but all the way through we're grounding in honesty, integrity, transparency, grounding in our mission, remembering that ripple effect, so that we're not just learning the logistics of how to write, we're really connecting with why we're doing it in the first place. Because like any learner, we are much more likely to embrace that learning opportunity when we know the why behind what we're doing.
Lisa, if people want to find out more about the program, the link is in the description. And those of you who are good at listening and writing down, the website is Lisa Berry Online. Lisa's Lisa, Berry is BARRY, online.com/MLC for Mission-Led Content 365, as in 365 days of the year. MLC 365. And when they go there, now they can, that program, they can there's a monthly fee, which is easy to find, and the first month is free.
That's right. The first month is free, so you can come on and you can get, and the first month is free, and within that first free month, you get 30 content prompts to help you with those, because a lot of the time people just get sick of staring at a blank screen and not knowing how to start something. Templates, which is how we learn actually like how to put content together, get 4 of those for free, and you get free networking and free a webinar and something that I do. This month is blogging, but there's something new every month that I work through, and I've got content coaches that I work with as well that come on and help me to deliver the content. So it's not just me, I have a whole team of experienced copywriters who are there to support.
And Lisa, in wrapping up, if you could sit down to a small business owner, with a small business owner who perhaps is struggling with their online marketing, and if you could give them 1, 2, or 3 pieces of advice to energize them and get them in the right direction, what would that be?
I think one of the first things is to connect to that mission, to why you're doing it in the first place. So that ripple effect activity that I described to you, really understanding the power that you can step into. So it's understanding that there's some mindset work to do here, not just the physical. Lots of people come to me because they want physical writing tips, where actually you need to get your head in a place where you can press publish as well. So you've got that mindset side of it. So the ripple effect is a really good side of that. From a technical writing point of view, one of the most effective things that you can share are, number one, testimonials, social proof. Like let other people say how good you are. If you feel uncomfortable saying it yourself, let other people do it for you. That social proof is one of the key indicators of people making a choice to buy, because they want that. I mean, we've all done it. I've been on Amazon. First thing I do is go to the reviews. We all do it. We want to see that validation. We don't necessarily trust the person speaking, so we need to make sure that we've got it. There is that validation from other people. So that's a really nice, easy thing that you can share and that you can put into your content, that is just, it's easier because you haven't got to shout about yourself. You can let other people do it for you. And finally, tell stories. Stories are beautiful. Like human beings process information through stories. So you can give someone facts and figures, but tell stories and let people, and that's how our brain actually comprehends facts and figures and information. So don't just throw stuff out there. Human beings connect. We have done for generations, from round campfires to today on social media. We are storytelling creatures. So be proud to tell your story.
3 valuable tips for us storytelling creatures. My guest today is Lisa Berry, reminding you that doing good things for other people makes you feel good about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, George.
My pleasure.
If you like what you heard, remember to like, comment, and share this podcast. Come back every week for more practical insights to help you convey your intended message. I'm your host, George Torok.